Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to the 10th Pygame tutorial video. In the last video we were talking about how we can make movement occur, frames per second, all of that. In this video, I almost forgot, but I wanted to show you guys how you can do a more typical movement. So in our case, as soon as we hit an arrow key, we want the character, in this case a snake, to continue its movement. But in most cases, you actually only want to continue the movement while the user is holding the key, and as soon as they let up the key, you stop the movement. Now initially we saw that our first idea was to do just that, modifying the variable here, but then we saw, well, actually the holding of a key down does not actually, it's not an event, right? The holding of a key. Only the pressing of a key and the releasing of a key. Those two things are events. Everything in between is not an event. So the question is, how can we handle that kind of event, or at least make it feel to the user like that's what we're doing, is we're saying, okay, you're still holding the key down. Well, we basically have to ask, is the user still holding the key down? So to handle something like that, we'll come down here and we would say, now we're asking here if event type equals pygame.keyDown. Well, in this case, we're asking if it was a key down, and we saw that we can change directions, no problem. So what we'll do, and this modifies the lead X change, right? But what we can do instead is then at the bottom here, we can say if event.type double equals pygame dot, and instead of key down, we're going to say key up. So if it's a key up now, what do we want to do? Well, we could make this really simple and just say lead X equal, or X change equals 0. But we don't actually want to do that because then it could be any key. Like, what if they accidentally hit Q or something? So then we need to ask if event.key equals pygame dot, and then we say k underscore left, and then we're going to throw in an or here. Let me move this up so it doesn't run into my pretty face. Or event.key equals pygame.k underscore right. So if that was a left or right arrow key that we released, what do we want to do? Well, we would say lead X change equals what? That's right, 0. Like a children's show. Anyway, and that's it. That's all we would have to do, hopefully. Let me go ahead and run that, and that should be it. So we get our thing up here. We start at 0. So now we hold the arrow key, but then we release the arrow key, and you see how it stopped? And then we can go the other way and release the arrow key, and it stops. So that's how we can handle a more typical use of, like, you want to press the arrow key to let the character move, and then when they release it, the character stops moving. But for a snake, we actually want it to continue moving. You know, you only really change your direction with a poke of the arrow key, and that's it. But if the snake doesn't continue moving, that means the game is just too easy. So we don't really want it to be too easy for the user. So let's go ahead and X out of this. And then we'll X out of this. And then, so obviously to revert back, all we have to do is just delete this here. And then we can run this. Now obviously, there are a few problems here. We still can't move up and down yet, so we're going to have to cover that. And then after we cover that, so we're back to, you know, the typical snake. After we cover that, the next thing we have to cover is, well, what happens here? We just go right off the screen. So I'm off this monitor, I'm probably on this monitor now, and then I'm probably like way over here now. And so we need to bring it back. So I just hit the arrow key to bring it back. So hopefully it'll come back. But you can see that we don't have any boundaries here. There it is. And now he's going to go off the other screen. So we have to add some sort of boundaries. And again, the Pygame does not just know when you've hit a boundary of the window. Like, it doesn't know that. And then same thing too when you like draw objects. Pygame isn't going to just automatically know, you know, just because your picture is a car and you run that car into a wall picture, Pygame doesn't know, well, that's a crash, you know, no. But the user knows that, like, oh, that should have been a crash. So we kind of like make it, gaming is really just one big illusion for the human to play. So And that's what we have to do. So we need to add boundaries to this, and then later on we'll add, you know, like the apple and stuff like that, and then crashing into ourselves. That's obviously a, you know, game over and all of that. So we'll be adding boundaries in a little bit here. But first, let's get up and down working. Then we'll add boundaries, and then probably after that we'll add the apple and all that stuff. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I know not everybody aspires just to make a snake game, so I did just want to show you guys how you can make the arrow keys kind of act like it's continuing to move because you're holding the key. So that's it for that video. Stay tuned to the next video.